So we're a put-up job. T.S. Eliot, contemporary poet, put it beautifully. And the impossible union of streams of being made manifest. We are virtually the impossible union. Streams of being. All the beings cooperated to bring about. You get that in this wonderful Shloka 17 of Volume 2 in the Secret Doctrine. Breath needed a mind to embrace the universe. So this is manas. This is our crucifixion, but it's also our saving grace. Breath needs a mind to embrace the universe. The kind of mind that was in Gautama, which St. Paul could say, let that mind be in you that was in Christ Jesus. That mind, manas, this marvelous gift, which we got on our birthday without any instructions. We spend our whole life trying to work out how it works. All right. I guess I better pause for some questions and so on. Please pardon, I'm a bit, this cold has made me a bit deaf. And so if I have to ask you to repeat, or somebody can repeat for me, that's fine. Yes, Vlad.
Reincarnation is the way I see the world without actually having to travel from country to country. I simply get born there. Mm-hmm. And Jeffrey Hodgson wrote a lovely book called The Miracle of Birth, describing how you join up with your mother's body and reincarnate.
Yes.
Once again, get back into a physical body, mm-hmm. and in the interim, mm-hmm. you have a lot of other bodies you can use, which you already have while you've got your physical as well. Mm-hmm. But you discard the physical because it becomes no good. Mm-hmm. It's past use by date, it dies, and so on. Mm-hmm. Now, that's what I understand. That's how I use the word reincarnation. Tourism. Okay.
I like that, tourism.
Yes. But what is transmigration?
Transmigration is the constant interchange at the cellular level of energies. HPB calls it the transmigration of light atoms.
Is this only when you're in a physical body or also with other
I
bodies?
think there are other bodies too, but of course I don't like the word bodies, you see, and I disagree with that. Yeah. Now I know Jeffrey's book, and I have great respect for Jeffrey, but I think we have mechanized the whole operation far too much, because what we're dealing with is a matter of consciousness, not of mechanism. And you can refine the instrument, but it's the consciousness that is the operator. And so it's a matter of consciousness with which we are concerned. Now, I like your idea of tourism, because one of the things I think we need to look at very carefully, are we tourists or are we pilgrims? HPB speaks of the monad as the pilgrim. Yeah. And a pilgrimage is a sacred voyage. Pilgrimage is the awakening of the sacred. We can go on being tourists all our lives.
We do.
And we do, but to be a pilgrim, that's what HPB pointed to. Yeah. So get over being tourists.
We do get glimpses.
Pardon?
We do get glimpses. Occasionally we get glimpses.
Yes. So I'm not concerned. I know the mechanism of reincarnation, and one can talk endlessly about the mechanism of it, but mechanics do not lead us. We've become, I think, too mechanical theosophists. We're theosophical technocrats. And it's time we lived this philosophy, that we embrace it in a sense that it recreates us, that we This is what the Mahatmas do. They recreate from within what they need for the purpose. They take on vehicles if that's what's necessary. So I think we're dealing more and more, and this is where contemporary science is also helping us, I think, much more concerned with consciousness, much more concerned with the fact that there is constant change, continuous change occurring.
So the Mahatmas permanently work with impermanence.
Hmm?
So the Mahatmas permanently work with impermanence.
Yes, that's right. But the concentration, and that's why I think in many ways the Secret Doctrine was written 100 years ago so that it would be here today. Imagine what HPB would do with contemporary science. Oh, marvelous. She would have a language now. And indeed, at the end of the Key to Theosophy, she points this out, that in the 21st century, there would be a language. We're just beginning to explore the limits of that language. I haven't even gotten into that, because that's something we need to examine, is that language is a function of consciousness. If we think, if we use language that is mechanistic, then we are caught in a mechanistic realm. If we use language that is consciousness-focused, centered, then we're doing what HPB called on us to do. Yes?
Would that explain, perhaps on a more precise level, your term transmigration there? That's not, your definition is not the one that I see in the dictionary.
No, that's true. I'm using it in the sense that HPB used it.
It's in the consciousness use.
Yes, that's not
Whereas the
returning.
dictionary one is the-
However, one needs to be careful. Generally, the term transmigration means return into some animal form. Now, let's be very cautious about this. Now, let's think it through very carefully. The soul making is at its level. But bodies are animalistic. We inherited the physical body from the animal kingdom. And we repeat all of the stages, vegetative, Piscean, fish-like, all of that. Now the Buddhists, for example, have a theory that you can be reborn as animal, as ghost, and all the rest. This is all figurative. Because if we coarsen the physical body, if we lend the physical body to drugs, including tobacco, alcohol, all of that, meat eating, if we coarsen the physical body, we have participated in making the physical body more and more animalistic. And indeed, we have taken on animal characteristics at the physical level. Don't underestimate the importance of the refinement of the physical. We are also involved, and I don't have time to go into this in detail, but we are also very much involved in what I can only call the purification and the transformation of the cellular level and its analogous levels in every domain of experience. We are, if you like to put it this way, there's a wonderful biography of St. Francis by the contemporary Greek writer Kazantzakis, who was a great occultist, incidentally, wrote a wonderful book called The Saviors of God, in which he points out that we are as necessary to the creative principle, call it God or what you will, as that creative principle is to us. There's a reciprocity, yajna, an exchange, which is pure theosophy. But in that work, his delineation of the life of St. Francis, he makes the point that St. Francis was involved in the spiritualization of matter, the refinement of the physical body. This is why, you know, if you haven't smoked, to go into a smoke-filled atmosphere does what to you? It jars, doesn't it? It's painful, isn't it? Really painful. This is part of our responsibility, is the refinement of the physical. So don't throw this out too easily. There are many individuals, this is why, again, souls perish for thousands of HPV, because we have a tenuous hold on this soul-making business that we're involved in. This is why it's said, you know, the higher you fall, the higher you climb, the greater the fall. And why we can learn so much, I think, from those who are said to have been failures in the occult path. Study the failures. We're not so far away from that. We have a tenuous hold. So, do we have vehicles that are animalistic? What about our desires? Our passions? Selfish, greedy, petty, out to make money. This is animalistic. You say, you can't be reincarnated again as an animal. You can be, if you accept what the metaphorical meaning is of this whole process. And HPB is very clear on this in Practical Occultism. Now, wonderful little work. She's very, very clear on this. So let's not fool ourselves. Oh, I've got it safe now. I'm into the human kingdom. You may be just barely. Let us be very, very clear what the metaphorical meaning of all this is. Why are many of us vegetarian? Not simply to avoid cruelty, which is certainly in itself a magnificent aim, and of course we mustn't kill. But we kill others' reputation. We gossip like mad, which is killing, just stealing.
There you go.
So let us be very cautious about this. That's why we need to school an intelligence and make it a soul. And everything in incarnation, everything here in this realm of samsara is to teach us, to really awaken us, awaken consciousness. This is what the voice of the silence is all about. This is what Light on the Path is all about. The great precepts at the feet of the Master, which is based, of course, on the Viveka Chudamani of Shankaracharya, the four great qualifications given by Shankaracharya, simplified in that beautiful little work at the feet of the Master. Why is all this given to us? And we do nothing with it. We sit around nurturing our nuclei. universal brotherhood. Stop sitting on your nucleus and get up and, this is what we're to be doing. It's a matter of consciousness. Because who knows, this process of metanoia can happen in a flash, in an immediate moment, without time. Well, getting into another lecture. So be careful when you say, transfer, migration doesn't work. There are a lot of animals out there, two-legged ones, whose thoughts, something in today's paper that just came about the Ku Klux Klan. Yes. It seems to be imported into, New Zealand or Australia or wherever. God help you if it is. But racism, every time we lend ourselves, our thoughts, our feelings, to thoughts of separateness, we have taken incarnation in an animal form. So we have to be careful. Why the emphasis on non-separateness, on unity? We all pay lip service to unity. Then we go out and act like, what's the largest piece of cake I can get? All right, that's enough. What I'm trying to do is incite you to think in different ways, because it is a matter of consciousness. Questions? Yes, Hazel.
I'd like to ask your view on this, which is something totally different. The idea that the air breathes us, and that if we are soul-making, and we use some technique to enter a state of meditation, then the breathing slows down, and the hiatus before the in-breath seems to get longer, and it would seem that then we do touch in some way some universal whatever concept, and this is why meditation and yoga seems to be the way to encompass the oneness. I'd just like your view on that.
I certainly agree with you very much. And to really go within, meditation and yoga. Yoga, of course, remember, yoga, the classic definition given by Patanjali, is the cessation, bringing to a quiet point the manner in which the mind tends to operate, transform itself constantly. Nirodha Chitta, Vritti Nirodha. Transformation. The mind tends to be extremely active. To bring it to a state of as great stillness as possible. This, of course, enables one also to work at another level in sending out thoughts of healing, of peace, of understanding to the world. It's a level, if we can put it this way, it's a realm of consciousness which isn't overcrowded. Can I put it that way? If we continue to think in the ways of fear and concern and dislike of things we don't want around and so on, we're operative on the busy, busy highways of the mind. We're likely to have accidents. If you bring the mind to a state of interior silence, interior stillness, slow it down. There's no traffic. You put it that way.
We shouldn't have hard.
And so you can send out thoughts then that flow unimpeded.
It's the hiatus
Yes.
before the in-breath, which
And it
is
isn't that
intriguing.
hiatus before between the two breaths. It's that moment between the two breaths. Yes. This is why the practice of meditation, yoga, is recommended for Theosophists. And it's amazing how many people are taking up meditation these days. Incredible. It's very popular. Because people, I think, are beginning to awaken to the fact that it is necessary to really bring oneself into it. Many of them are taking it up for perfectly selfish reasons. It's all right. At least it's having its effect. Maybe that's the way to turn from the selfish to the unselfish.
Joy. I once read that a previous Secretary General of the United Nations, Doug Hammarskjöld, wasn't he? It was about the second one or something.
Yes,
He stated that it would be the meditators that will save the world.
that's right. Yes, and you read his beautiful compilation of his articles known as markings. It's wonderful. Yes, he was a firm believer in meditation. Never began a meeting without meditation. Yes. Yes, Val.
Just about Doug Hammarskjöld. You know, he brought a lodestone, I think, from Sweden, the largest lodestone ever mined, and placed it in the center of a meditation room in the United Nations. He went further than saying we should. He did something further about it.
This is a meditation. He was really very instrumental in getting that meditation room in the United Nations Secretariat building. It's a beautiful, it's just a single block of stone with a light shining on it. That's all. It's a marvelous atmosphere, I can tell you. I've been in there. A wonderful atmosphere in the meditation room at the United Nations. Maybe if we put more of our world leaders in there together, ask them to be quiet, something would happen. Yes, Jocelyn.
Joy, this may be totally irrelevant, but it springs to mind as you're speaking. There's a political party in New Zealand that embraces something called yogic flying. Can you?
I'm sorry.
A political party in New Zealand which embraces something called yogic flying. Do you know?
Oh, really? I don't know that. It's a new political party in England?
It's the tea.
Hmm?
It's the tea.
It's a transcendental meditation group who have yogic people who get into the the seated posture and sort of bounce around and fly around. And I'm not quite sure what it's supposed to do other than saving the world.
No, the transcendental meditators who have formed that party use bouncing around on mattresses as a way of gaining attention of the media. If you say we're just going to make people more peaceful by meditation, they'll ignore you. But if you cross your legs and bounce on mattresses, you get in the news.
They ought to get trampoline.
And so it's a gimmick. It's a gimmick. In a way, it's total nonsense with respect to actually levitating or anything like that, which you do with your other bodies anyway, and not your physical. But still, they get PR, and one day we can work out a way of getting more PR. Maybe more people will know Theosophy, but we have to find a gimmick to do it.
Every political party needs a gimmick, that's true.
Their own view of themselves is that they have to get into a different consciousness
being separate. I once said that that we have the valuable illusion of being separate, and because it serves a certain function. The fact that we were physically, of course, it's obvious. You're a joy, I'm glad, and so on. The fact that you're differentiated at some higher level early on has a function.
Yes.
Even though it involves an illusion.
The eye-making faculty is very important, which establishes a center.
How high up does it start?
Differentiation. It starts actually, of course, at the very outset of manifestation is this presence of the eye-making faculty, according to HPB.
Now fit the monad in with that. What is the monad?
What is
monad? What's a monad?
The monad is a unit, therefore, but you know, it's really duad, as HPB points out. It's Atma Buddhi. Atma is universally dispersed. And focuses only through the vehicle, the upadhi, the basis, that which nourishes it, which is its own energy, which is buddhi. It's its own energy, if you like, because buddhi is an energy. And so, therefore, that universally dispersed pulsation, which is Atma, is nourished by its own inherent energy, in terms of the human being, buddhi. And that then is this focus, but activated, remember, as the Mahatma says, activated only when in association with manas. That is the awakening, beginning of the awakening of self-consciousness, which occurs in the human being.
And then there's something called individuation.
I know it, yes.
Where is that and when does it happen? Is that good or bad?
You see, here again, we've got all these terms in all of our books. Individuation is simply the soul-making quality. Individuation is the making of that unit of consciousness self-conscious. So it happens, you know, of course, when the downward flowing energies give the spark, as it were, to the upward rising consciousness, creating that point, which is manas in its true essence, true nature. That's why it's often called a causal body, but it's neither a body nor is it the seat of causation. Seat of causation is in the whole manifested system brought about by my good friend Folhart. You know me. I never give a talk without bringing in my very best friend in the secret doctrine, Folhart, which is that universal energy particularized in a variety of ways, particularized as buddhi, particularized as kama, particularized as electricity, magnetism, and God only knows what all. Eros as love, that is that primal relationship, yajna, that reciprocity that always exists. And so, individuation, while it may be, as it were, at that moment which is no moment, is a continuing process. It doesn't happen once and for all. It may seem to, but it's a continuing process. Think of the collectivity of our consciousness. We're all rooted in a kind of group consciousness. Somebody walked in that door and yelled fire. You tell me there's not a collective consciousness? We'd all scramble for the door. There'd be only one or two people like Hugh who would say, "Are you sure there's a fire?" Where is it? You would analyze it, you see, and look at it, and calm us all down. That right here, yeah. Get us all calmed down and consider whether somebody just saw some sparks and so on. But we all react with this kind of collectivity. We get caught up up in the collective consciousness. So we're very far from fully individualized. That's why the Mahatma is one, says HPB, in whom Manas is entire, and who never loses the totality of Manas, whether in or out of physical incarnation.
It strikes me there are two aspects, at least, to the I-making faculty, one of which is the primary I-amness, or the amness itself. And then, more particularly, there is the environment of consciousness that it finds itself in, which includes its...
Yes, I think you can put it that way, Murray, yes. So there are two aspects. There's the I amness itself, just I am that I am, as we have it in the Christian Bible.
And then what I am in what particular terms, I am this or I am in that situation.
Yes, and then we now have moved to this, I am that, and we identify them with the thises and the thatses all along the way. And we forget the I am. Well?
I wonder if you'd just like to comment or make some, give us some thoughts on Theodore Chardin's work, The Phenomena of Man. Do you think he got it right?
Yes.
He said collectively we are creating what he couldn't find a word for it, so he coined the word noosphere.
The noosphere, yes. And this is true. And this is what, yes, Theodore Chardin, I think, came on a remarkable truth, because together we are creating, we are building the noosphere. That is to say, and this is where this whole concept of the 100th monkey and all of that business, you know, that if sufficient a number of people were indeed to bring about that kind of mind that is the transformed mind, the consciousness that is fully transformed, we could, this is the saving of the world. This is the whole recreation of the world. So don't think that your thoughts are not important. Every individual counts, because everyone can make a difference. This is the whole thing. And I think Teilhard came on this whole idea of the noosphere in a marvelous way. The realm of knowing, the noetic realm. And if we were all, if Theosophists throughout the world, every single one of us, for 5 minutes, were to really, without any barriers whatsoever, without any doubts, without any being skeptical, were really to know these essential truths, could change the world. It doesn't depend on an organization of millions of members. It depends on a group that are willing to commit themselves. This is why HPB, despaired in her final days. She said, I tried in one of her final papers, her esoteric papers, she said, I've tried in vain to convince Theosophists, of this great metaphysical truth, that you are that. You are that. Parabrahm. I am that. She never said, let the society grow into millions, but to change, and again she put it, to change the consciousness of the times, to change the minds of the times, to leaven the minds of the times. She used many different phrases. To leaven the minds of the times. What have we done about it 100 years later?
A little.
Yes.
Other than give lectures about it, I travel around the world giving lectures about it. Well, it's time to adjourn, or we're going to miss lunch, and that would be horrible. So we continue. Now it says at 1:30, so as close to that as we can manage. And I'm going to try to give you some things to keep you awake, because after lunch is always a time when you're most likely to go to sleep. So I think it's better if I give you something to try to stay awake.
You're onto it.
I'm not sure this one.